Hey everybody, Stock Catcher here. In this video, I'm going to be going over the most important thing when it comes to trading stock market, which is risk management. And I know that there's going to be people out there that don't even watch this full video, which is sad, but it's going to be true, right? They're going to become the vast majority statistic where they end up losing everything and then quitting the stock market. So I highly recommend watch the full video, whether on 2x speed or whatever it takes, right? Because I know it's hard. A lot of people, myself included, we have this type of exposure to social media, right? And it's easy to only focus on quick dopamine hits. We're pretty much addicted, right? In society, I'm talking about everybody in this world. They're exposed to these quick dopamine, and we're not trying to think long term, macro viewpoint, right? When it comes to life, so we really want to think about the long term, which is what I'm gonna be talking about in this video. So when it comes to trading risk management, right? I said in my previous video, if you check, that the biggest thing that I recommended was the size of the account, and that was for a reason. And before I go on further, everything I say every day online is not financial advice. I don't have a license. I'm just generally trying to share my opinions to help people for free, right? And entertainment. Because a lot of people charge, 500,000, 2,000 for courses or whatever. But I'm doing this all for free, just trying to help people. So I said in the previous video, right? The size of the account, it should only be max $100 or whatever size you're comfortable with. And the reason I said that is because if you're losing a lot of money, there's almost guarantee that it's going to continue, because trading, when it comes to trading, right, the size of the account doesn't really matter, because a lot of people misunderstand that you need a lot of money to make a lot. That's not true at all, because I've been doing small caps a long time. And you see with your own self, you see proof every single day. These stocks I'm mentioning, small caps, they're ripping 20%, 30%, 50, 100. Today there was a 560% ripper. And just 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, there was 5,000, 2,000, 3,000% runners. So even if you use $200 or $100, you could make significant money in a short period of time. I'm saying that because I see a lot of people online, they're using 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, or way more than that when it just makes no sense to me, right? Because if you're losing a lot of money, why are you burning all your money, right? And I get it, because psychologically wise, I understand why. It's because most people, they want to make back their losses. They want to get rich quick. They want to buy that new car, new home, or whatever it is. And I'm speaking from somebody that understands that psychology, which is why I said in my previous video, if you watched my previous video, I said clearly that you didn't lose money. If you're trading, in my opinion, is tuition. So why is that important when it comes to talking about mindset shift? Why is it important to think of it like tuition you're paying to university or college, rather than saying you lost 50K or whatever amount it is? It's because once you flip that mindset, you say you paid money, tuition, to learn, to become good at something you're going to do for the rest of your life, it changes drastically. You're not trying to revenge trade. You're not trying to claw yourself out of this hole or make back your money, because you pretty much understood that. Like every single person who wants to become a doctor or somebody that is trying to be a lawyer, right? They spend so much money. I've seen people, they're like $200,000 in medical debt, or they spend 15 years of their life trying to be someone that makes a lot of money in those professions, right? So how does it make sense to somebody that day trades, where you could literally make way more than that, way more than a doctor, to be upset at spending tuition? How people understand what I'm saying, right? So that's the biggest thing you have to understand, is that the mindset shift. You don't lose money when you're trading. You use that money to learn, which is why I said in the previous, you have to study every time you lose, right? If you're trading and you just don't care about your losses and you just hop onto the next day or the next trade, then you could essentially do what you want with your money, but in my opinion, that's just burning. It's just throwing in the garbage, in my opinion, right? So that's the first thing, is the small size as well as the mindset shift. So the second thing, once you did that, in my opinion, is really important, is the type of trades you take, which plays into risk management. So I said in the previous video, go to your history, trading platform history. Every single person watching this video, I guarantee, unless you've been doing only for a few days, you're going to have green trades, right? If you don't have a single green trade, and if you've been trading for, months, then email me at macrodiff@gmail.com, because that's unusual, right? Because every single person, I guarantee, they have at least a couple, right? So once you see the pattern of what you're good at, what you're bad at, then I said in the previous year, right? Only stick to that. Only stick to that strategy. Ignore everything else. It doesn't matter if, Octo is ripping 5,000%. Doesn't matter if everybody's having fun on a stock ripping 500%. Ignore that. Ignore the noise. Focus only on your setup, only on your strategy. And that's the way you're going to get good and make a lot. And a lot of people say, oh, how do I know what my strategy is? How do I know what to do? Well, there's patterns, right? I just said there's patterns. So if you go to your green trades, you're going to notice something, a trend of what you're good at. For example, let's say you're good at slower multi-day setup, swing trading, dip opportunity rather than buying momentum breakouts, news plays, those type of trades, then only stick to that. So once you do that, and then on top of that, you have the small size as well as the mindset shift, you're going to feel a lot more confident, a lot more comfortable, and the results will show, in my opinion, right? So once you do all that, and you want to get better, in my opinion, this is really important, where you have to focus on the front side of the move. I said many videos and every day on the live stream, right? You have to focus on the front side. What I mean by that is, if you see a setup that's interesting, just take the setup. Because if you use small size and if you're confident, there's really nothing to lose. If it goes bad, then you just learn from it, you cut it. But if it goes good, then you pretty much execute your strategy, right? So focusing on the front side, for example, let's take a look at MSS today. Let's take a look at that, for example. A lot of people, they see the stock ripping 80%. They say, oh no, I don't want to chase it. That's when the news literally came out. So that was literally the beginning. There was nothing prior. You could check yourself. Look before that. Well, what was moving? There was nothing. So that I mentioned it right at the beginning. This was the beginning. And then the stock ended up ripping 560%. Right. So a lot of people, what they end up doing is they get scared, and they just watch it, and then they just punch it at the top, like near $6. And of course, yes, it could go higher after it holds a level, but you're exposing yourself to much more high risk, because think about it, if you're buying it when it's up 550% compared to when it's up 80%, it's much, much riskier. And there's a much higher chance it just goes down, because think about it, half of the market, most of the people are looking to bank on the downside. They're looking to short a stock. Or not just that, but these companies, oftentimes they dilute. These small caps, oftentimes they sell the shares right after it moves up. So if you focus on the backside, then it's not good, in my opinion, right? So that's the third thing. For first, I hope people are understanding, right? First, size and the mindset shift. Second, focus on your setups, your strategy. Focus on what you're good at. The second, third, front side. Focus on the beginning of the moves. And the last thing is the exit part. This is really important. So last thing, this is really important, because a lot of people, they don't understand that just because a stock holds level, it does not mean that it's going to keep holding it. For example, let's say a stock, I say it has to hold $6, MSS, for example, right? That does not mean that once you see $6.05, it's gonna go higher. That's not true at all. It could reject, it could break, it could do a fake out. It could basically do a stuff. Stuff means that if a stock has high volume, it doesn't follow through and just pushes down, like short, it's like fading. So there's just so many variables, such as also open, dilution or warrant. Like there's a lot of factors. I could go more in detail, but that's the fourth thing. You have to understand that there's no guarantee in the stock market or trading. Just because a stock goes over level does not mean it's going to continue. So you have to have a plan on exiting the stock if it doesn't work out, right? If it doesn't work out, you cut the stock and then you move on to the next one. Because a lot of people, I think they misunderstand, right? So that's the fourth thing that you have to understand, is getting out if it goes wrong, and understanding that it's not going to work out all the time, right? And the fifth thing, the last thing, is this is probably one of the most important things, is that you have to be independent when you're trading, right? I'm saying this because I see every single day. You could check yourself, check my live stream every single day. There's so many people that ask me, do I buy now? Do I get out now? What's the entry price? Where do I buy the stock? And I understand that newer traders, it's hard for them. They're trying to ask for help. But I explain in my videos that if you draw out your lines as well as focus on the front side. It's pretty much simple, like self-explanatory, right? If a stock is starting to break out, you look at those support levels and then you could buy it, right? Compared to asking where to buy, where to sell, because that, first of all, that's financial advice, and that's not really something I do. And second, if you keep doing that every day, I'm almost 100% sure you're not gonna make it. I'm being serious, and I know that sounds kind of harsh, but it's true. If you're literally asking somebody else, like someone else with your money, what to do, then you're gonna fail. It's just, I'm being honest with you, you're gonna fail. And I know, like I said a minute ago, I know that newer traders, is harder for them, so they're just asking for help. But that's why I'm making these educational videos. And I said in my live stream, I say the levels, like the cold levels and quarter intervals, like the 50 cent, dollar, 25 cent. Those are the basic psychological pivot. Maybe write that down. Remember that if you're confused on these technical levels, if you're newer, if you just remember that, that's a big improvement rather than just not knowing that, right? So remember that 50 cent, hold down levels. And if you need more help, I will be making more videos. That's why I said in the past that I will be making more videos to help people in terms of technicals, in terms of candlesticks. So before you even get there, you have to focus on not losing all your money, right? So that's why I said in the first video I made to only use max $100. That's the reason why, because a lot of people, which is unfortunately true, that by the time they understand trading, they're gonna have no money, right? So the last point I want to make is you have to protect yourself until you learn more. That's the last thing I want to say. Protect your capital like it's your life. All right, I'm going to be making more videos, guys. Stock Catcher signing out. Have a great night. And if you made it to the end of the video, please like and comment. I'm just genuinely trying to help people. All right, good night.